Once upon a time, there was a vampire named Venitas who was born under the blue moon while all the other vampires were born under the crimson moon. The rest of the vampires considered his birth an ill omen and always tormented him. They even drove him away from his village due to which he had to suffer from the darkness and cold. He grew very resentful of them and vowed to take revenge on all the crimson moon vampires. He then made a grimoire which could release a fate worse than death on the vampires and will bring down all the vampire kind. In the present, a newspaper gets published indicating that a vampire has shown up and people start discussing that the vampires were supposed to be eradicated in the war with humans. Some of them wonder whether the vampires are even real and some start to fear that the vampires have come back for vengeance. No spots a girl who looks very pale and is about to faint, so he rushes towards her just when she falls down. He manages to grab her and then makes her sit down while asking her whether she is alright. She assures him that she is alright and was just anemic, but he notices that she looks very pale and nervous. The girl named Amelia once again assures him that she will go to a doctor soon, and suddenly Nose Cat Mer jumps out of his bag. It jumps into Amelia's lap and starts to cuddle her, so she asks him about his name. Suddenly it gets announced that their ship is approaching Paris, so No jumps up and rushes to the side to watch Paris approaching, but he doesn't see anything. He starts yapping to Amelia about how astromite power is making the huge ship fly, which makes her question whether it's his first time boarding an airship. He tells her that he is going to Paris to search for a book called the Book of Venitas and asks her whether she has heard about the infamous book from the folklore, which shocks her. Before she can say anything, the watch announces that it's time to disembark, so he takes his cat Mer and heads on his way towards the gate. In the meanwhile, two guys standing on the top of the ship discuss that their target is within the ship. Amelia asks No whether he really believes in the existence of the book, and he reveals that a letter recently informed him that the book has been sighted in Paris. He informs her that her mentor asked him to specifically come to Paris to search for the book, and Amelia feels faint, so she stops at her place. He notices her red eyes, which make him realize that she is a vampire, and when he approaches her, she yells at him to stay away from her. The lights around them also shatter, and suddenly a guy jumps inside through one of the glasses. He lunges at Amelia, but No quickly grabs Amelia first and steps aside. The attacker asks him to leave the vampire to him, but No doesn't listen to him, so he lunges at him. He comes at him with a blade and No dodges all of his attacks. Amelia struggles in his arms and the attacker then uses a wire to get a hold of his leg. No quickly throws Amelia in the air and lunges at the attacker. He pushes and sends him flying against a bench, after which he quickly runs back and catches Amelia once again. He then runs away with her, and the attacker gets joined by his comrade, who discusses with him that No must be a vampire as well based on his red eyes. Amelia feels very cold in No's arms, and she has a dream in which a creature asks her to give her true name to him. Suddenly everything around her turns black and dark blood starts to seep out of her face and hands. In reality, some people gather around her and No tells the staff to get her to the infirmary. He turns back to find the attacker, but Amelia stops him and asks him not to go. She then bites his neck and starts drinking his blood, which freaks out the others beside him. His strength starts to get drained and he somehow manages to push her away. She then tells him that she no longer feels cold and wants more of his blood to stay warm. Blood starts to seep out of her eyes and chest, and long tentacles like briars emerge from the ground. They attack the humans and try to pull them towards her, while No tries telling her that the vampires are forbidden from attacking humans. She attacks him as well, and he realizes that he cannot move quickly because her bite was poisonous. Suddenly their attacker jumps between them and pushes her back. He reveals that Amelia has been corrupted by a animaan, which refers to the ruined remains of a true name which has been corrupted somehow, and that her true name has been corrupted even though vampires' true names are like their own life. No asks him whether he has come to kill her, but he argues that he is a doctor who has arrived to cure her instead. He takes out a black-paged book which is linked to a silver chain and contains blue letters. No feels shocked that the book could be the Book of Venitas, while the attacker flips the pages of the book and releases a spell which disintegrates the briars around Amelia. She has a vision that a bright light is removing all the shadows around her, and the attacker appears to tell her that her true name is Floraphel. She snaps back to reality to find him telling her that it's a good name, and she hugs him in order to thank him. The guards arrive to capture the intruders, who jump through the gallery, and the attacker steps back in panic. He ends up falling out of the hull of the ship, and No jumps after him to save him. They both fall down from the sky, and No notices the bright lights of the city Paris as well as the blue shining over them. He recalls that his mentor would tell him to avoid the blue moon because it can rob the vampire powers, but he always found the blue moon very beautiful. They both land inside a building where No asks the attacker how he cured the vampire, and the attacker informs him that he used the Book of Venitas to remove the maladies which were corrupting her true name. No finds him very extraordinary and starts singing his praises. The attacker feels flattered by all the praises and reveals that he is a human named Venitas who was granted the name as well as the book by the actual vampire Venitas. He asks No to team up with him to search for maladies, but No refuses his offer. He makes a pitch to him that vampires will soon go extinct if they don't stop the increasing attacks on the vampires, and that he will save all the vampires by using his own tricks and methods no matter what happens. In the past, No's friend tells him that the curse bearers are vampires who lose their mind and go cuckoo, and that the blue moon vampires inflict such curses on the vampires. The friend accidentally scratches himself, which causes him to bleed, so he starts licking the blood and asks No whether he can really find the blue moon beautiful now. In the present, No wakes up to find himself jailed with Venitas, and he asks him about what happened. Venitas reveals that No ended up sleeping due to exhaustion from the fall, after which the authorities found them and took them to jail. He also told the police that No was his partner in crime, and No realizes to his shock that his own wallet and Venitas' book were also confiscated. He reveals that his mentor told him to assess the authenticity of the book, which makes Venitas question why his mentor would give him such a vague task. He then asks him why he refuses to join his side even though he wants the book of Venitas, and No thinks hard about his reasons. He realizes that he doesn't like Venitas very much, but he should go with him if he wants to listen to his mentor, and then thinks that it will be impossible to accompany a person whom he doesn't like much. Venitas gets confused by all his yapping, and a policeman arrives to tell them that they can now go. He opens the cell and gives them a card from Count Orlok, who has invited them to meet him. They both head out, and Venitas comments that the vampires must have reached an agreement with the humans due to which they have been let go. He decides to show No around, who has never been to Paris, and they both step into the usual hustle and bustle of the city. No starts fangirling on seeing every single thing and even stops to see every little entertainment as they both head to see Count Orlok. Venitas has to push him along while telling him that Orlok has invited them to take their belongings. They both arrive at Gallery Valentine, where Venitas gives him a history lecture that the vampires were forbidden from attacking humans after the war, after which most of the vampires wandered away while some of them blended with the humans. One vampire was also appointed by the Queen to maintain the balance between the humans and the vampires in Paris, who is named Orlok. They both enter through a gate where two vampires quickly stop Venitas, and he asks them whether they even know how to treat an invited guest. Orlok tells them to step back and hands over their belonging to them, which also includes No's cat Mur. Venitas tells them to hand over the book along with Amelia, so Orlok tells him that all cursed vampires have to be killed. No assures him that she is cured now, but Orlok reminds him that curse bearers cannot be cured and that Venitas is tricking all of them. Venitas laughs at his face and points out that he probably cannot even open the book due to which he has summoned him. Orlok and Venitas start to argue about the authenticity of the book and how he wants to save vampires, while No recalls the moment his childhood friend Mina was sentenced to execution after her curse was discovered. The others explain to him that a Barreau has to kill her according to the rules, and he argued with everyone, but all of them told him that the Blue Moon curse cannot be lifted and that their rules are rules. In the present, Venitas keeps arguing with Orlok and his vampires that he can cure the maladies, but no one believes him, so No kicks Orlok's desk and picks up the book of Venitas. He pitches to Orlok that a curse bearer has been going berserk in Paris lately, but they can capture the vampire and bring him back to demonstrate that Venitas can actually cure the curse by using the book of Venitas. Orlok gives them one day to bring the vampire, and they both head out. Venitas feels relieved that No has decided to join forces with him, and No thinks that he is making him work for him and not the other way around. They both head out, and Venitas meets up with his buddy, who is an information peddler named Dante. He argues with him about running away to save his skin at the airship and introduces him to No as well. Dante reveals that he has a lead on the curse bearer, who has already taken 9 lives, and gives them a bat which will lead them to his partner, who has been trailing the killer. No then grabs Venitas and follows the bat by jumping on the building. Another informant named Johann joins Dante and shares with him that Ruthven's Barreau is also in Paris to search for the book of Venitas, due to which his friend may end up dead soon. Venitas informs No that the curse-bearer vampire is named Thomas, who recently came from the barrier 2 months ago, and that he was working on his case before Amelia contacted him. They both spot Thomas attacking someone, so No quickly throws Venitas at his head to stop him. Venitas lands some paces away after hitting him, and No then jumps on him to restrain him. Venitas then opens the book and uses a spell to temporarily knock Thomas out. Suddenly 2 vampires named Luca and Jean show up and compliment Venitas on his skill. Luca casually asks him whether he can give him the book of Venitas, and he refuses his request by blurting out loud that he won't give his book to brats like him. Luca's companion Jean releases a wave of power in anger which shuts him up, and he asks Luca why he wants the book, to which he explains that the book can be used to create the curse bearers. Venitas realizes that he is accusing him of spreading the curse, and Luca asks him again to hand him the book so that he can properly destroy it to save the curse bearers. No tells him that the book cannot create curses and asks him to talk with them later because they need to quickly go somewhere. Luca argues with them that his brother is also a curse bearer, due to which he wants to set him free, and Venitas offers to examine him as a doctor. Luca reveals that his brother suffers from the curse of the vampire of the blue moon, but before he can spill any more beans, his companion Jean stops him. Jean then attacks Venitas, but No pulls him back to save him, and Luca begs him to get the book. Jean then opens up a coffin to reveal a crimson gauntlet, and Venitas starts running on seeing it. No runs after him as Venitas reveals that during the vampire war, there were some vampires who took the side of the humans and were all slain by one vampire who easily took all of them down. The vampire is the Crimson Gauntlet bearer Jean, who suddenly attacks them both, and No throws Venitas back to protect him from the next attack. Jean releases a huge fire from her gauntlet which burns everything down around her, and Luca then rushes beside her. He cups her face and reminds her that she isn't a Barreau anymore, which calms her down. No and Venitas hide in an abandoned warehouse where Venitas confesses that the book can be used to corrupt a vampire's true name, just like it can be used to treat maladies. No gives him a pep talk that he is doing the righteous thing by saving the vampires and that they should hurry back to save Amelia. Venitas finds him amusing and reveals that he has an idea to combat Jean. Dante and his informant buddy Johann join their companion named Riche, who is watching Jean roast Venitas. They all watch as Venitas tells Jean that he is disappointed to see how much she has fallen while she asks him to hand over the book. He formally introduces himself to her with the explanation that the vampire of the blue moon once feasted on him, due to which he transferred some of his powers into him and made him a part of the clan of the blue moon. He decides to show his powers and takes off his glove, but just then a monster appears behind Jean and attacks her. Turns out that Venitas was waiting for the spell to wear off on Thomas, who then attacked Jean after waking up and knocked her down. Venitas then faces Thomas, who has transformed into a werewolf, and tells him about the malady that has affected him. He uses the book to attack him with a spell that strips away his monstrosity and returns him back to his original state. Thomas collapses on the ground while Venitas learns that his real name was Bucolicus. He then recalls that he had to cure him in front of Orlok, and two of Orlok's servants come out from the side to tell him that they will tell Orlok about everything that happened. Jean slowly gets up, which shocks Venitas because he paralyzed her himself, after which Thomas even poisoned her by biting her. He calls No to come forward, and No comes forward with Luca in his arms. No recalls that they discussed the whole plan, and at the end Venitas told him to grab Luca and to shut his mouth. He explained that he will use a magical circle to incapacitate all the vampires, and that Luca may inhale the spell too, so he should shut his mouth and stand at a distance where Jean can see them. Of course he was tricking him, and the trick works as Jean begs Venitas to let Luca go and that she will do anything for his sake. He starts laughing at her pathetic attitude, and seeing her frustrated expression, he starts acting loony all of a sudden. He touches her face, which drains all the strength from her, and then kisses her. When he is done, he starts yapping that his heart is beating very wildly and that he loves her, due to which he wants to make her his bride. At some distance, Luca's powers erupt uncontrollably and he yells at Venitas to stay away from Jean. She rushes to his side and jumps on the top of the building with him, where she declares that she will kill him the next time she sees him. He understands that she wants to see him again, so he yells out that he will be waiting for him. Luca becomes enraged to see his perverted behavior, and Jean then runs away with him. Meanwhile, Orlok's servants who were running after Thomas find that somebody has killed him in the alleyway. Thomas's body crumbles to ashes while a sinister creature watches everything from the shadows and wonders whose name he should corrupt next. Later, No reunites with Amelia, and Orlok tells Venitas that he doesn't believe everything about him, due to which he is letting Amelia go for the time being, but she will work at Hotel Chowchu as a live-in maid for now. Venitas realizes that they don't know about the actual culprit behind the latest cases and Thomas's death, due to which they want to keep an eye on him, and he tells Orlok to use him as much as he wants since he gets the benefit of being involved in the cases that way. Orlok asks the both of them to stay at their current hotel, which will be paid by him, and No defends himself that he is not Venitas' caretaker. After the petty arguments are done, Venitas asks Amelia whether she has seen the parade of Charlatan, and explains that all the curse bearers see a thick fog along with a parade of Charlatan before they become the curse bearers. She struggles to recall anything about a parade, and Orlok asks No whether he can help her out. He reveals that he has got a letter from No's mentor requesting assistance for his pupil during his stay, and Venitas realizes that No belongs to the Archivist clan. The Archivist clan is a clan with powers to read people's memories by drinking their blood, and Amelia tells No that he is welcome to search her memories. He feels reluctant, but she assures him that she wants to be of service, so he sits beside her and takes her arm. He then licks it, after which he proceeds to bite her arm, and slowly her memories start to slow into him. He goes through the recent memories related to him and goes even deeper to find the memories that she herself has forgotten. Suddenly he comes across a memory in which she was walking home when suddenly a thick fog enveloped her and a parade started to pass around her. A weird black creature showed up and welcomed her to the parade of Charlatan, after which she started to run away from him because she knew it was a cursed thing. She ran up to a pole where the creature named Nania attacked her from above and asked her about her true name. No snaps back to reality and starts screaming while he vows to make Charlatan pay for all the people that they have cursed. Suddenly a woman barges inside the room and introduces herself as No's fiancé named Dominic. She is from the noble family of Desaad, and No reveals that his mentor is also her grandfather. She then puts a collar on his neck and declares that she is going to take him away. She leads him outside where she reveals that she has been invited to a masquerade ball where he is going to accompany her. They both head to a shop where they use a secret entrance to go underground. Dominic informs him that Lord Ruthven will also be present and that he has been conducting his own research on curse bearers. They both stop at a gate and Dominic opens it to reveal a portal which connects the human world to the vampire world named Altus. They both enter and just then Venitas comes running from behind. He grabs No and gets teleported into Altus with him. He reveals that he has visited Altus many times and he came because he knew Dominic wanted to separate him from No. According to the theory of mankind, a great alchemist Paracelsus proposed that there is a realm beyond the human world which consists of all the formulas that make up the human world. He thought that the human problems could be fixed by arranging the formulas in the other world, and he even performed an experiment to test his theory, but the experiment resulted in an incident called the Babel incident. The incident caused the original constitutive formula to be rewritten for a number of things, due to which strange things started to occur, such as glowing flowers, blue minerals, and red humanoid monsters. Vampires were then born as a new species of humans, and No's mentor told him everything in the form of a story. He looked like he was having a lot of fun telling the story and mentioned that a lot of humans don't know about the truth. In the present, they all head to the ball in a huge carriage where Dominic changes inside the carriage and No notices that she seems mad. He comments that it's a good idea to bring Venitas along since he was involved with curse bearers as well, but she seems worried for another reason. She expresses concern for him because her grandfather made him involved with the Book of Venitas and thinks that he will get himself too involved due to his incident with the curse bearers in the past. She then takes off his collar and hugs him while he mentions that she smells good, so she asks him whether he would like to drink her blood. He shakes his head like a good boy and then starts drinking her blood while Venitas overhears everything from the outside. Later they all attend the masquerade ball where No and Dominic dance with each other, and she notices that he doesn't look well while he recalls the parade of Charlatan after looking at all the masks and jesters. Venitas acts like a clown in front of some girls, so No drags him away and Venitas asks him to let him enjoy himself since he has already enjoyed himself. No scolds him for thinking badly of Dominic and reminds him that they are both only good friends. He then gets distracted by some machines, so he stays back to look at them while Dominic leads Venitas to a strange room with weapons. No realizes after a second that his friends have gone ahead without him, and at the same time Luca talks with his guards that his uncle still hasn't arrived at the ball. He then runs into No and lies to his guards that they are both friends, after which he drags No away to talk to him. Dominic ties Venitas up and asks him why he is stringing No along with him and what his purpose is. She comments that she is willing to provide assistance to No if he wants, and Venitas teases her that No is also using her for convenience. She turns around and mentions that she will believe in the Book of Venitas as well as the Blue Moon vampires, but she cannot understand why he wants to help them out considering the original. Venitas must have wanted revenge on all the Crimson Moon vampires. She continues to throw daggers at him and one of the daggers breaks apart his chains. He admits that her point is right and that all the vampires were only concerned about his book without even giving him any thought, so he decides to etch his name and existence into the minds of all the vampires. He heads to the balcony and jumps on the chandelier above the ball, after which he announces to everyone that his name is Venitas and that he holds the Book of Venitas. He declares that he will prove to everyone that he is a member of the Blue Clan, after which he bares his arm in front of everyone, which contains a blue mark. The vampires reel back at spotting the mark and yell that he should be killed immediately. Two vampires even attack him, but he opens his book and deflects their attack. He shows the book to everyone and explains to them that he can use the book to corrupt their true names, but he will rather use it to cure them of corruption whether they want it or not. He calls it the true vengeance of Venitas, shocking everyone, and they start discussing that he should be taken down and that the Blue Clan is the real culprit behind the curse in the first place. Even No feels embarrassed by his outburst, and Dominic's sister Veronica arrives at the ball. She smells a foul stench of a human and immediately attacks the chandelier where Venitas is standing. The chandelier falls down, but someone snatches him away in the wink of an eye, and Veronica declares to everyone that they can now start hunting down the mortal, which makes all the vampires cheer. No notices that it was Jean who had carried away Venitas, and she asks Luca why she would want to save him. He explains to him that he asked her to let him see the both of them soon and then apologizes to him for the uproar which occurred the last time. No assures him that it's alright and they both begin looking for Venitas. Meanwhile, a black creature watches everything from a side and decides to join the fun. Venitas gets carried to a balcony where he yaps about being carried by a woman, so Jean drops him quickly to the floor. A song starts to blare across the place which pains Jean, and inside the building several vampires turn into curse bearers. They begin to attack their companions and total panic breaks loose as vampires after vampires start developing the curse. Luca's guards rush to join him, but they get killed by some attackers, and at the same time Jean also starts to feel bloodthirst. Venitas asks her whether she is feeling very thirsty and whether she is a curse bearer. The attackers lunge at Luca, but No blocks their attack and another attacker rushes to stab him, so No steps back and breaks his sword. Venitas corners Jean and asks her to drink his blood as he bares his neck. She reminds him that she can even kill him, and he reveals that he is a Sigma Chad who doesn't care about the consequences. The attackers continue to come at No and he throws one of them away while he blocks the other one's attacks. Venitas continues to riz Jean with the powers of his smooth words, but she attacks his neck. They both fall down and she keeps drinking his blood while he gets embarrassed in return. She then withdraws herself, but after a moment attacks his neck again, and he realizes that he likes the situation that he is in. No fends off the attackers successfully and asks them who they are. Suddenly a shadow comes out of one of the attackers and reveals that they are all Charlatan. No gets triggered and rushes to attack the shadow named Nania. He throws him back and tries to punch him, but his hand goes through the shadow body of Nania. In return, Charlatan reveals that he knows him because he has seen him through someone's eyes. He then mentions the name Louis and envelopes him in shadows. Many years ago, No was introduced to Dominique and her older brother Louis by their grandfather, who left all of them together. They all played together and No told them that he was raised by humans in the human world, which shocked them. They asked about his parents and he told them that his grandparents found him crying all alone in the snow. Louis joked with him that the humans probably lied to him and were raising him to get him big enough to eat, so No defended his grandparents, who were really good to him. He recalled all the good moments he spent with them, which made him start crying, and Dominique glared at Louis due to his rough attitude. They both then tried to console him and Louis also apologized to him for his words. Later they huddled up in one bed together, where he told them that some kidnappers took him after the death of his grandparents and he went from one place to another. Finally their grandfather took him in after he found him and asked him to call him Maitre. Dominique sympathized with him that it must have been hard on him, but No liked the journey and all the places that he has been to. He called it a vacation and Louis called him an idiot as he laughed a lot at him. They all spent their time together and No then got his education with them as well. He would play with Louis by having outdoor adventures and with Dominique by playing dress up with her. They were both his first friends, and one time they even ventured out to befriend the village children. All of them found a secret hideout as well, and No then told them about how he has the ability to read people's memories after sucking their blood. Dominique asked him to drink her blood, so he drank her blood and saw memories of himself in her brain. Louis told him that he doesn't want his blood drunk, but Dominique urged him to drink his blood as well, and he jumped on him to start drinking his blood. After he was done, he started crying because he saw Louis curled up in darkness in his memories, which made him really sad. If his powers had been stronger, he would have been able to see more of his past, which would have helped him out then. As time passed by, Dominique would come to visit him once a month from the far-off manor where she lived, while Louis usually only stayed with Maitre at his mansion. One time Louis told him that he was diagnosed with a sickness after he was born, due to which he was moved to his grandfather's house, and he asked him whether he missed his parents, so Louis revealed that he was dead to the house of Desaad. Sometime later, Dominique asked Louis whether she could sleep with him because she was afraid of the thunderous weather, and both No and she joined him in his bed. No immediately fell asleep while Dominique confessed to him that she wants to spend more time with him because she only studies in her house and envies him a lot. He assured her that she will understand in the future that everyone loves her a lot and cherishes her. One night, No took Dominique outside to make her watch the blue moon, and Maitre told Louis that he has never met a vampire who is so fascinated by the blue moon. He in return asked him what a curse bearer is, and that he found documents about him in his room which indicate that he must be a curse bearer. His grandfather pretended to accidentally leave the documents lying around, and Louis asked him whether his parents had Dominique only to forget about him. Maitre then told him it's not the case and that he is free to do whatever he wants, but he wants to watch his process of growth. Later he built a sculpture out of wood and refused to tell No what he was making, but No kept asking him what he was making. He told him that he was making a gift for him and asked him to wait. Slowly his behavior turned even more strange with time as he made more sculptures, and No asked him whether there was anything he could do to help him since he realized he was suffering. Dominique barged inside and told them that their village friend Mina is going to be executed soon. Lewis already seemed to know about it and told them that Mina is a curse bearer who has to be executed by the Bureau due to their custom. No declared that they will save Mina from execution, but Lewis gave him the reality check that they cannot save Mina unless he somehow knows how to lift the Blue Moon's curse. He yelled at him that there is nothing he can ever do against the curse, and No ran out after calling him stupid. Dominic followed him and assured him that they will save Mina by helping her flee the village so that she doesn't get executed. Soon the kids helped Mina escape and they all hid in their secret hideout, where Mina started to act cuckoo. She turned into a monster and bit the kid nearest to her first. She then lunged at the other kids, but suddenly Lewis arrived and sliced her neck away from her body. He started to feel bloodthirst and the curse inside him awakened as he lunged at his other two friends. He bit their necks off and started yelling that he needs more blood, so No told Dominic to run away. Lewis then attacked the both of them and No tried to stop him as he told him to snap out of his frenzy. He kept him in control, and after a while Lewis regained some of his old sense. He told No that he cannot ever return back to his original state, due to which a Bureau will soon behead him, and that he wants him to kill him first. No refused to kill him, and Lewis in return bit his neck as he started drinking his blood. He recalled all the moments that he spent with him and how they had a lot of fun together. Suddenly Matra arrived and sliced Lewis's neck away, leaving both the kids in shock. No started crying and wheezing while Matra asked him whether he was alright and that he made the right decision to come back early. Sometime later, Dominic brought him a box and told him that Lewis wanted him to have the box when the time was right. The box turned out to contain a bunch of wooden stakes which made No sick, and he realized that Lewis was preparing for his death all this time, but he couldn't save him or kill him according to his last wish. He broke down crying and Dominic tried to console him. In the present, Nania consoles No by reminding him that he couldn't save his friend and asks him whether he would like to join Lewis where he won't feel lonely anymore. He then asks him to give him his true name and is about to kiss him when Venitas arrives and drives the Nania back. In the past, Matra was the first person who told No that he should never give someone his true name because it is the essence of his life. In the present, Venitas faces Nania with his book and No notices his bloodied neck, so he asks him whether he is injured. One of the fiends run at Venitas to attack him, but suddenly Jean breaks through one of the walls to block him. Luca asks the charlatan what their purpose is, and one of the attackers tells Nania that they have to retreat because their time is up. He reminds him that the Queen's fangs will soon hear of their attack, and they all decide to retreat. A sharp song plays in the air which causes the curse-bearer vampires to come rushing at them. The group gets attacked by the vampires while the charlatan losers head back, and Nania tells No that she will come back to get his name. The others try to fend the vampires off while Jean runs after the charlatan with Luca in her arms. Dominic arrives at the scene and finds No looking utterly defeated. She tells him to get a grip and that all the vampires are going mad by the curse-bearers' voices, so Venitas offers to cure them of their maladies. Dominic shreds her gown and offers to protect him by fending off all the vampires. No gives himself a reality check that this time Venitas can save the curse-bearers, and they all rush downstairs where they quickly come across the first curse-bearer who is biting another vampire. No jumps at the vampire with Venitas in his arms, and Venitas then uses his spell to immediately knock the vampire down. Jean and Luca stop their chase and wonder who the charlatan devils were. Meanwhile, the vampires start accusing Venitas of bringing the curse to them and start discussing that they should kill him. A few vampires attack him and No fends them off. He then thanks Venitas out of nowhere, and Dominic suddenly rushes to their side to tell them that there is only one curse bearer left, but they should immediately leave the building. No and Venitas run away together just when Dominic's sister Veronica approaches her and asks why she is spending time with a mortal. No and Venitas come across a little vampire girl who kills her mother on the spot, and Venitas reveals that her curse cannot be reversed because her flesh has been corrupted too much. The curse-bearer girl named Catherine asks them to kill her in tears before she kills her little sister too, and Venitas approaches her slowly. He uses a spell to push No away from him and then opens the book to start his spell. He asks the curse-bearer about her name and then uses the spell to kill her. She turns into ash, and No gets the shock of his life as he realizes that Venitas was right when he said that he will use any method to bring salvation to the vampires. He confronts Venitas and asks what salvation means to him, but he just tells him that he doesn't know. Suddenly Veronica arrives and uses magic to attack them with ice. They both jump downstairs to get away from her, and the ice follows them stubbornly. Veronica confronts both of them and her ice manages to trap Venitas' legs. The ice climbs up his legs as she promises to end his life in front of Dominic, who tried to stop her, and No rushes to help him, but he falls on his knees due to weakness from the charlatan's attack. The ice is about to engulf him whole, but suddenly Lord Ruthven arrives and stops him. Her mask falls off and he explains that his carriage was attacked by some assailants, due to which it took him some time to arrive at the ball. Veronica then fills him in about the ongoing situation that Venitas appeared at the ball with the mark of the Blue Clan, after which a lot of curse bearers appeared, and that he is responsible for spreading the curse through the Book of Venitas. Ruthven asks Venitas whether he turned the little vampire girl Catherine into ashes, and Venitas admits instantly that he killed her. Ruthven then decides to barbecue him right then and there, but No jumps between them and asks them to listen to him. He yaps endlessly that they don't have any manners because they keep attacking Venitas without even hearing him out, and Ruthven backs down after hearing his outburst. He apologizes to him for his manners, and No suddenly feels weak due to his previous attack. He leans on Ruthven while Ruthven melts the ice around them. Luca also arrives at the scene, and Ruthven declares that he will take both Venitas and No into his wing as his previous guests. No then thinks that he needs to apologize to Venitas for doubting him before, but he loses consciousness. He then dreams that he is talking to Maitre and explaining to him that he needs to apologize to Venitas for expecting so much from him, even though he has always been honest about his true nature from the very beginning. Mature in return advised him that he did not want him to assess the true nature of the Book of Venitas to check its credibility, but he wanted him to come across many people whose lives are linked to the book. No then wakes up in an unknown place and opens the window of the room, which reveals the vampire town to him. He spots Venitas at a clock tower far away, so he heads to meet him. He climbs up the tower and asks what happened after he passed out, so Venitas reveals that Ruthven dispersed the crowd and that they are both his guests now. No notices that he looks a little mad, so he asks him what's on his mind, and Venitas refuses to spill anything. He asks him about his act at the Masquerade ball, where he declared in front of everyone that he will save all the vampires as an act of vengeance against Venitas, and Venitas informs him that he was just lying to get their attention. No doesn't think he was lying, and Venitas bears a sword at his neck in anger. He tells him that hates simple-headed fools like him and doesn't want to associate with him any longer. No stops him from attacking him and simply tells him that he doesn't like him either, due to which he has no reason to listen to anything that he says. The clock tower bell starts to ring, which stops the both of them from hearing each other's argument, and afterwards, Venitas starts to sulk like a kid without a lollipop. No then tells him bluntly that he wants to see his outcome and witness everything beside him, due to which he won't leave his side and stay beside him. Venitas in return tells him to do whatever he wants, and the sun rises as No tells him that he is also sorry for what happened. No and Venitas eat food with Luca, where No loses his mind over the tart that they present to him. He eats it in a frenzy, and Dominique shares that he has always been a fan of such tarts. Luca comments that a vampire who loved tarts just like him probably brought the recipe to the Atlas, and Dominique thinks that the vampire might have been Maitre, since he used to bring tarts for No a lot from his foreign trips. Luca then apologizes to them for his uncle's absence and thanks No for saving the vampires from the curse. Venitas gives his own tart to him to eat because he doesn't like sweet things, and No shares with Luca that it was Venitas who helped defeat the curse. Luca admits that it was Venitas' powers which helped save the vampires, but he wants him to apologize to them first for the last incident. Venitas in return teases him by asking him what happened during the last incident, so Luca reminds him that he wants an apology from him for forcing himself on Jean by kissing her. He asks him whether he should apologize to him or Jean, and Luca informs him that he needs to apologize to Jean, of course. Venitas comments that he doesn't need to apologize for anything since he and Jean love each other, and Jean tells him to keep his fantasies to himself. Venitas reveals that he is not fantasizing and shows everyone a mark on his neck, which indicates that Jean has bitten him before and has transferred some of her powers through her bloodlust. Jean declares that he is lying, and he starts yapping that she definitely marked him and that she was very rough with him as well, which embarrasses her in return. Luca asks her whether she really left the mark and whether she likes such men. The situation starts to get out of hand, so Venitas declares that he was just kidding and that Jean didn't mark him deliberately. Luca thinks that he might have forced her again, but he clarifies that the curse-bearer's voice made her lose control for a second, due to which she attacked him and drank his blood. Luca feels relieved that nothing bad happened to her, and after a moment, Jean grabs Venitas and rushes outside with him. No thinks for a moment and decides to go out to follow them. Jean and Venitas stop at an alleyway where she asks him why he lied to everyone, and he asks her whether she wanted to let everyone know that she really attacked him in bloodlust. He then bluntly asks her whether she is a curse bearer, and she reveals that she can always control her urge for blood if she takes her medicine. He finds the situation interesting since he has never heard of such a medicine, and she then begs him not to spill her secret to anyone. He pats her head and assures her that he won't spill her secrets to anyone since he loves her. He then comes right down to business as he states that he has two conditions, and that the first condition is that she cannot drink anyone else's blood but his. He explains that he felt very divine when she drank his blood the last time, and that they have the perfect chemistry together, which embarrasses her a lot. He pulls her towards him and repeats that she can always drink his blood whenever she wants, which makes her recall the taste of his blood. She starts feeling the urge to drink blood again, but she controls herself as she asks what his second condition is. He reveals that he wants her to call him by his name, and she calls him name as she bites into his neck again. After they are both done doing the naughty act, they head back to Luca's house while No keeps an eye on everything from the roof. Dominique then comes to tell him that they have returned, and she notices that he looks sad. He reveals that he has been feeling upset since he heard that Jean drank Venitas' blood, and Dominique feels sus of him, but he then explains that he probably felt upset because Jean got to Venitas before him, even though he wanted to taste his delicious blood as well. He starts yapping that his blood must have tasted very good for Jean to mark him in the first place, and Dominique then playfully pushes him down because she thinks he is a pathetic fool. He even chews his ear to tease him and then ends up biting his neck to drink his blood. No then pulls off her glove and bites her hands, after which he starts to drink her blood as well. He then comments that her blood is delectable, which makes her comment in return that he is an idiot. After the sundown, the vampire town becomes lively and a dance party breaks out in Luca's house as well. No thinks of asking Jean out for a dance, but Dominique guesses his intentions and drags Jean away from him to dance with her instead. Jean tells her that dancing with a barreau like her will harm her reputation, but Dominique in return only calls her a good two shoes and tells her that her pleasure comes first. She then starts to dance with her, and they both around while No and Venitas watch them. No asks him whether he doesn't want to dance with Jean instead, and Venitas reveals that he is not good at dancing. No offers to teach him how to dance, and Venitas in return accepts his offer. Luca watches the girls dance as well and wishes that he would grow up quickly. Both the boys take to the floor, and No notices that Venitas can dance after all. He also notices the mark on his neck, so he asks him what love is, and Venitas lectures him that even he doesn't know what love is, but his heart starts beating fast whenever he sees Jean, due to which he thinks he is in love. Dominique notices No staring at Jean, which makes her feel upset, and No then asks him what he specifically likes about Jean. Venitas starts yapping about her good qualities like a royal simp, that she is beautiful, delicate, and that she won't ever love him back. No fails to understand his logic, and Venitas explains to him that Jean doesn't need to love him back even though he loves her a lot, and that he doesn't have any interest in people who can love him back. No realizes that he doesn't understand people a lot, and he then ends up stepping on his shoe, which earns him a scolding. The next day, No gets ready to meet Ruthven, and Dominique finds it baffling that he doesn't even know about Ruthven in detail other than the fact that he is a Senate member. She explains to him that Ruthven helped end the war between humans and the vampires, due to which some people even consider him a hero. She realizes that he also doesn't know about Luca, so she decides to let Luca explain to him about his status. She then apologizes to him for bringing him into such a mess, and he then heads to meet Ruthven. No visits Ruthven in his office and marvels at the fanciness around him. He mentions to Ruthven that he doesn't know anything about him, but Ruthven tells him not to worry since he knows that his maitre loathes him. No then starts to look around at the fancy machines around them, and Ruthven tells him one by one about the machines. Venitas then tells him to cut to the chase by coming to the intended topic, and Ruthven then serves them tea as he thanks the both of them for their help at the ball. Venitas asks about his opinion on Charlatan, and he admits that he always thought Charlatan was an illusion, but now he believes in their tangible existence. He even thinks that the Charlatan came to the ball for Luca's life, and that the curse bearers were created to distract the Queen's fangs, Veronica. No wonders why the Charlatan specifically came for Luca, and Venitas informs him that Luca has the most powerful rank and power after the Queen herself, since he is the Grand Duke Oriflamme. No recognizes the Grand Duke as the close advisor to the Queen and thinks that it's amazing for Luca to have such a title, but Luca corrects him that Ruthven takes care of all of his duties. Ruthven tells Luca that he was very scared for him when he learned that he had gone to the human world, and asks him to take care of himself. No then recalls that Luca originally came to Paris for the Book of Venitas to cure his brother, so he asks him where his brother is, and Ruthven tells him to not mention his brother ever again. He explains that some people do not need salvation and should stay with their curse. They then move on to the topic of curse bearers, and Venitas asks Ruthven to firstly take him to meet the Queen. He asks him his reason to see the Queen, and Venitas reveals that he believes that the Queen gives rise to all the curse bearers, due to which he wants to examine all parts of her body. Jean rushes at him, but he dodges her attempt to stop him and reminds Ruthven that he can easily let them meet due to his Grand Duke status. He continues his endless yapping that the public hasn't seen the Queen in quite some while, and that there must be some reason that she has gone hermit. He then asks him whether she is even alive, and Ruthven in return releases a surge of power which knocks everyone down. Luca tries to stop him by hugging him, and Ruthven grabs Venitas by his neck as he asks him to leave instantly. He chokes him in the air and tells him that he is forbidden from ever entering the castle. Soon they all get sent back to the original Paris across the barrier, where Venitas sleeps for 1 whole week to heal himself. He then reports to Orlok about everything that happened and gets an earful of scolding from him as well. No thinks that Venitas has definitely confirmed some of his suspicions, and on the other end Ruthven tells Luca that he should have reacted quickly when Venitas was insulting the queen. He explains to him that Venitas was just using the power of his words to assess people's reactions, and Luca's hesitant reaction towards his claims confirmed his suspicions that there is something wrong with the queen after all. Venitas tells Orlok that he plans to cure some curse bearers in Paris till the dust settles, and Orlok in return almost ends his life in rage. No comes across some of his papers which fell from his desk and which indicate that some vampires have gone missing recently. They both then get thrown out of Orlok's office and soon meet up with their informant Dante, who looks beaten up for some reason. Dante quickly offers to sell them some information and reveals that a curse bearer sneaked inside Paris some time ago. The informants were trailing him when suddenly someone abducted the curse bearer in front of them, and Riche tried to stop him, due to which he and Johann had to get involved as well. They all got very beaten up and the kidnapper was going to kidnap as well, but then realized that all of them were Dampiers, so he left them alone. No realizes that they are all half vampires and half humans, which seems shocking to him, and Dante gives them a token that he snatched off from the abductor's clothes, which contains a sword and six-wing symbol. The symbol belongs to the church's anti-vampire unit called the Chasseurs, and at the same time, a priest in the church learns that a human named Venitas is being surrounded by vampires, due to which he might need their help. No and Venitas head to the underground tunnel lying beneath Paris, which also contains an ossuary, and they walk around the tourist attraction to look for a clue. Dante has informed them that he saw the Chasseurs sneaking into the ossuary, and Venitas reveals that it is rumored that the Chasseurs wiped all the vampires in the tunnels during the wartime, after which they established a secret base in the tunnels. They don't find anything there and soon head to the surface to discuss what they should do next. Johann notices that No looks concerned about Venitas, and No confirms his suspicions that he is wondering why Venitas is pretending to be alright. Later at their hotel, No sleeps in his bed while Venitas brainstorms on his own at the roof. He then decides to go out on a whim, and when he leaves the hotel, he finds No waiting for him at the door. No follows him out and reveals that he knows he is going to investigate the disappearances of the vampires, due to which he is joining him. Venitas tells him to suit himself, and they both arrive at the church, where Venitas tries to break inside by cracking the lock open. They both get discovered by two guys and then knock them out to steal their clothes. Once they have successfully gone inside, Venitas activates a secret lock which opens up a stairway leading underground and reveals that they are going to a separate catacombs network underneath. They both head underground, where Venitas skillfully leads him through the tunnels without any hesitation, making No realize that he is definitely familiar with the place. He asks him what he knows about the Chasseurs, and Venitas warns him to be cautious if he ever ends up in a fight against them by blocking his eyes. They both end up in a room filled with skulls, and a guy appears behind them called Roland. He tells them casually that all the skulls belong to the vampires who were killed in the wartime by the Chasseurs. He introduces himself as the sixth paladin, and Venitas lies to him that they are two guards who accidentally discovered the path through the church and got lost in the tunnel network. Roland admits to being lost as well and assures them that his guards will find them soon. He then leads him through the catacombs, and they come across an area where he tricks Venitas into a cell. He then uses a special flash grenade on No, which knocks No down, and he starts to see the actual world merge with the other formulaic world. Roland thinks that the grenade should have blinded him on the spot, and then injects himself with a chemical to power himself up. No slowly gets up despite feeling sick, and Venitas advises him to run away since he cannot possibly fight in such a state. No reminds him that he cannot leave him behind the bars, and Roland realizes that the captured man is Venitas, whom he was looking for. He starts yapping that he will save him from the vampires and that the vampires must be coercing him to stay with them. He even hugs him through the bars and calls him pitiful, so Venitas scratches his face in return and declares that the Chasseurs can never change since they always do what they want. He announces that he consorted with the vampires, sneaked into the catacombs and scratched his face according to his free will, and that he will do whatever he wants to do. Roland starts crying after hearing his outburst and thinks that he needs divine intervention. He announces that he will show him the gods' love through him and save him from the vampires, after which he takes out his huge weapon. No's vision starts to return to him just when Roland lunges at him with his weapon, and he barely manages to dodge it. Venitas warns him that Chos aren't simply human and that they enhance their combat through drugs. Roland continues to come at No, who dodges all his attacks and asks him to at least hear him out. Roland reminds him that he won't let any vampire leave the catacombs alive and thrusts the weapon at him again. Venitas searches for a lever to get him out of the cell and spots a candle stand at some distance away from the cell. Roland extends his weapon, which transforms into a wire-like structure, and then attacks No with the wires. He gets injured as a result and wonders whether he should back down to recover more of his strength or fight back. He uses a candle stand to grab a hold of his weapon, and Roland in return uses a button to produce electricity through his weapon, which ends up electrocuting No. Roland rushes to end him, but Venitas jumps between them, which distracts Roland for a second, and No then uses the distraction to hurl him towards a wall. Roland gets up to find that the both of them have escaped and two of his minions also discover him. He informs them about the intruders and that one of them is a vampire, which boosts their morale as well. They all start to look for the intruders while Venitas and No hide somewhere, and Venitas feels cringe as he recalls Roland's goody two-shoes behavior. No thinks that Roland and Venitas are similar in their own selfish ways, and Venitas then explains to him that the chasseurs used the flash grenade to tamper with the vampire's eyes by rewriting the world formula. He asks No whether he can defeat Roland, and No feels hopeful that the two of them can defeat him together. Venitas confesses that he came to the catacombs to look for a vampire researcher named Morrow and shows him the button which Dante took from the kidnapper. He explains that Morrow was expelled from the chasseurs due to his obsession with the vampires, and the button has a number at the back which he explains indicates the production number. He reveals that Morrow is probably abducting vampires to experiment on them in order to make them his own creation, and just then Morrow watches No and Venitas from a hidden spot. He recognizes Venitas and starts recalling how the vampire of the Blue Moon took away his precious creation, but he will have him back now. Roland reports to his companions about the two intruders and tells them to bring back Venitas alive to him at all cost. After the call, he thinks that his supervisor Olivier will definitely laugh at him for being so troubled over just two intruders, and his companions think that he should have reported about Venitas' identity to the higher-ups as well. They all head out only to find that their automaton machines are attacking the humans, and one of the injured persons tell them that the two intruders seem to know the ins and outs of the labyrinth in detail. He reveals that there was a blue light when they attacked him and warns Roland that they are dangerous. Venitas tells No that the Book of Venitas can tamper with the chemical astromite which powers the automatons, and No thinks that he has tons of questions for him, but he struggles to ask them. Venitas senses his confusion and reveals that his parents were slain by vampires, but the chasseurs saved him from the same fate and started training him to become a new recruit. Before he could be inducted, Morrow took notice of him and made him his guinea pig, due to which he has spent a lot of time in the catacombs and knows the ins and out. No asks him whether he doesn't hate the vampires for killing his parents, and Venitas reveals that humans and vampires are both selfish, monstrous creatures. No notices that he looks pained, so he asks him to stop making such a face, and just then chasseurs spot and surround them. Venitas uses a flash grenade to blind them and activates a security gate which separates them from the chasseurs. They both run away to another tunnel where he preaches to him that they have to fight Roland without actually facing him, and that their main purpose is to search for Morrow and his army of experiments, due to which they need to avoid being injured. One of Roland's guards spots them and Venitas knocks her down easily. He decides to take her hostage to negotiate with Roland, but No is against the idea, and Venitas scolds him for being so weak and pathetic. He gets triggered that he has to work with such naive fools and tells him to work alone without him. No gets pissed in return and declares that he will definitely use a hostage now. Soon No faces Roland and uses Venitas as his hostage. He threatens Venitas that he will make him work together to reach their goal, and Roland starts to buy his act. He then throws Venitas towards Roland and runs ahead to land the first blow. He then kicks both Venitas and Roland down and formally introduces himself to Roland. He asks him to hear him out, and just then the other chasseurs also surround them. Venitas announces that Dr. Morrow is still alive, which stops them in their tracks, and soon he fills them in about what's happening with the kidnapped vampires and what his own goal is. Roland decides to believe in his story and even asks No to become his friend, which he gladly accepts. He tells his minions that finding Morrow is a situation that they need to handle as well, and scolds No and Venitas for not explaining themselves from the very beginning. Venitas then leads everyone to the underground lab of Dr. Morrow, where Morrow loudly welcomes his 69th experiment, Venitas. Venitas joyfully greets Morrow in return and chit-chats with him as if they are long-lost friends. Morrow notices the people behind him holding weapons, and Venitas assures him that they are all his supporters who have heard all about his outstanding experiments and have decided to support him. Morrow feels relieved that they are not attackers, otherwise he would have to kill all of them, and then welcomes them all inside to discuss his experiments. Venitas tells No that Morrow is a blabbermouth who will reveal everything once he gets chatty enough. No assures Venitas that after getting information about abducted experiments from Morrow, the chasseurs or he himself will finish him off. They all get seated and serve tea by Morrow's minions, which makes No wonder whether they are his experiments too. Morrow then formally introduces himself and reveals that he likes researching on vampires because he wants to become a vampire himself, and that the church approached him to assist in their research but soon started calling him a lunatic. He curses the church and keeps yapping that the Blue Moon vampire also attacked his lab, after which he stole all the children away from him and brought the attention of the church to his experiments, due to which he was expelled as well. Venitas apologizes to him for all the trouble and he assures him that he isn't mad at him, especially because he was an ideal specimen who never cried or complained even when he was cut or sliced so many times. He asks him whether he has returned to help him out again, and Venitas nicely assures him that he will definitely help him out and that he knew instantly that Morrow was back in Paris when he heard about the missing vampires. Venitas comments that it must be difficult for him to operate right under the chasseur, and Morrow tells him not to worry since he has the support of someone very powerful now, due to which he can return to his old laboratory. Venitas in return asks him who his new comrade is, but Morrow refuses to spill any beans and instead shows everyone a pair of vampire eyeballs which he harvested from a vampire recently before the vampire turned into dust. The sick freak then notices Venitas' eyes, which seem lighter than the last time he saw him, so he asks him whether he can gouge out his eye as well for his pleasure. Suddenly No grabs his hand and Venitas asks him what he is doing, but he just ignores him as he tells Morrow to stop calling Venitas by his experiment number 69. He then throws him on the table and Morrow's men rush to attack him, so Roland also takes out his weapon to fight them. He takes a few of them down and Venitas asks Morrow who is backing him up, but the creep only asks him in return whether he can dissect his vampire friend. Suddenly one of Charlatan attackers jumps from above and takes Morrow from them. They both retreat to the upper floor to escape, and at the same time, the curse-bearer vampire whom Morrow had kidnapped wakes up. Venitas runs after the doctor and the doctor asks him how the experiment number 71 is. He reminds him that they were both always very close and that the blue vampire took the both of them together, which sends Venitas into a nervous breakdown. He starts having flashbacks from his past in which a guy asks him to give their father back to him, and he then snaps back to reality by nose shaking. The curse-bearer storms out and attacks everyone in his sight. No tells Venitas to step back if he cannot help them, and Venitas tells him that the curse-bearer is a shadow monster who consumes life. The curse-bearer eats the chasseur's men in front of them and Roland attacks him with his weapon, but it doesn't affect the curse-bearer due to his shadow nature. Venitas believes that they need to get the curse-bearer out of the body to cure him, and the curse-bearer then smacks him hard, which sends him flying against a wall. He then has a vision in which his childhood friend named Misha calls him an idiot and asks him why he wants to help out the Red Moon vampires, especially since they all exiled their father. Venitas then wakes up due to No's voice only to see that Roland's men are being butchered by the shadow monster. He thinks that the shadow will consume the curse-bearer, after which it will vanish, and that they should all get out in the meanwhile, but No thinks that they should try saving the curse-bearer too. He decides to jump inside the monster's mouth to try saving it from the inside, and Venitas warns him that he will die, which makes No question him about his reason for being at the lab. Venitas declares that he is a doctor who will save all the vampires, and they both rush towards the monster. Roland and his men attack the shadow monster to lower his guard and to distract him, while No and Venitas jump inside his mouth. They pass through the shadows and spot the original vampire, but suddenly a shadow ball consumes them. Venitas then opens up the Book of Venitas and uses its magic to cure the vampire, due to which the shadow monster turns into ash and they both emerge with the original vampire. No starts yapping that he clearly underestimated the monster, which makes Venitas start arguing with him again, and Roland laughs at them for being a bunch of idiots. They are all celebrating their mini victory when the lab starts to explode and they all make a run for it outside. Once they are all in the tunnels, Venitas theorizes that there must have been a mechanism in the laboratory to make it self-destruct, and Roland takes notice of the children who were abducted by Morrow. He tells Venitas and No that he will take in the children and hand them over to Orlok because it was all their fault in the first place to let Morrow go. However, he thinks that they should both escape. He explains that they have to be questioned at all costs if they enter the catacombs, due to which they should escape immediately, and then hugs both of them. They both leave after bidding him goodbye, and soon Roland's superior named Olivier joins him. Roland promises to file a detailed report to tell everyone about what happened and tells him that he befriended a vampire, which shocks him to death. Roland then starts yapping endlessly that he has seen a true friendship between a human and a vampire, even though the opposite was always taught to him, and he then runs off to help his companions, while Olivier thinks that he has gotten himself into trouble. No and Venitas soon return to the surface, where Venitas announces that he doesn't have any more interest in the case, which makes No think that he definitely wasn't interested in the case from the very start. He wonders whether his sense of duty as a doctor made him involved in the case or whether it was something else entirely. Venitas then lies against him and reveals that he is tired, while No keeps thinking about his motives and inspiration behind his actions. One day Venitas meets up with Jean, who had invited him herself, and on meeting him she tells him that they are going on a date. Just that morning, Amelia had delivered a letter to him which stated that Jean wanted to meet with him, and he quickly got ready. No saw him get ready in half asleep and asked him where he was going, but Venitas declared that it was a secret. In the present, he asks her why she wants to go on a date, and she goes on a century-long lecture that she has finally realized her feelings for him. She explains that he didn't kill her during their first fight and also saved Luca at the ball, due to which she wants to confirm whether she loves him or not by going on date, but when she turns around to check his expression, she finds that he looks disgusted to hear her words. Some time ago, she had asked Dominique how she can make Venitas go away from her life because she couldn't stand him, and Dominique in return told her that she has heard that Venitas despises people who are very fond of him and like him a lot. She advised her to act like she is in love with him, which will make him act distant, and from then on, Jean decided to act like she was a sucker for Venitas and his non-existent good looks. In the present, Venitas admits that he was shocked to hear her confession and that he will gladly accept her invitation. He wants to know why her heart changed so suddenly, and he then compliments her outfit, which makes her feel happy because Dominique especially picked out the outfit for her. Venitas gets close to her to clarify that he is complimenting her good looks and not the outfit, which makes her feel very embarrassed. They both start their date, and at some distance Dante spots the both of them together, which makes him freeze in his spot. He also comes across Dominique in a disguise, who is also spying on the both of them, and they both watch Jean cross a road with a vehicle rushing at her. Venitas pushes her back on the pathway and flirts with her that everything is alright if she is fine. He then makes her grab his hand as they are both walking, and Dominique realizes that Jean is definitely a pushover who can go along with any situation. No gets woken up by Ruthven in his room, and he then takes him to a cafe where he tells him that he is interested in talking with him. Ruthven comments that Venitas usually gets what he wants without spilling anything about him, and that he is also interested to learn more about No because he was raised by Maitre. On the other hand, Jean wonders why her heart is beating so hard even though she loathes Venitas, and Dominique keeps stalking the both of them because she feels responsible for the date itself. Jean makes him let go of her hand, and he asks her where she wants to go, so she expresses that she wants to see Paris itself because she usually never wanders around with Luca. He declares that they will visit all the spots, and soon they go visit each tourist spot one by one like a proper date. She asks questions about each spot and then eats tons of food at various restaurants as well. Soon she has to tell herself that she should remember her original purpose and not feel entertained. Even Dante comments that he doesn't want to stalk them anymore because they are enjoying a plain normal date, and both Jean and Venitas then enjoy the city view. Venitas points out the Sun Tower, which was made in Paris instead of the Eiffel Tower, and comments that the tower reminds him of the Babel Tower. He then goes to a toilet and asks her to think about her answer before his return. No tells Ruthven that he feels similar to Maitre and wonders what makes the both of them so similar. Ruthven reveals that he used to be a teacher to a group of students before the wartime and imparted very crucial knowledge to a lot of them, but all of his students ended up dying. No apologizes to him for making him remember his painful past, and Ruthven believes that he will be very happy if he has more students now just like No. He believes that someone may take advantage of No due to his kind nature, and No assures him that Venitas is not interested in exploiting him. He reveals that Venitas believes that humans and vampires are like one another because they are both monstrous selfish creatures, and Ruthven asks him about his opinion on humans and vampires. Jean eats a crepe and tells herself that she needs to finish the day by confessing her love for Venitas so that he can stay away from her. She starts rehearsing what she will say by speaking loudly that she had a great time with him and wants to see more sides of him. She repeats that she has true feelings for him and wonders why she is feeling so embarrassed to say such words when Venitas suddenly appears behind her and declares that he feels the same for her. She immediately draws back and tells him to have the opposite reaction rather than feeling the same towards her. He asks her what she is talking about and keeps mercilessly teasing him, which embarrasses her even more. Some kids pass by her and one of the kids falls down, which causes his knee to start bleeding. Jean starts to feel bloodthirst on seeing his blood and her eyes turn red, which scares the kids as well as a man sitting near her. She then jumps at the kid in bloodthirst, but Venitas thrusts his hand in front of her fangs, which causes her to bite down on his hand. He then uses a smoke grenade which releases smoke everywhere and runs away with Jean. Ruthven reminds No that he was raised by humans, due to which he has to ask him whether he is with the vampires or against them, so No tells him that nobody is his enemy and that he is neutral. He explains his viewpoint that he likes vampires and he likes humans, and he only doesn't like someone if they harm his loved ones. Ruthven then declares that he has failed his test, and No suddenly feels faint in front of him. Ruthven then jumps behind him and bites into his neck. Venitas and Jean stay at a dark place where she licks the blood on his arm, and he asks her again whether she is a curse bearer. He asks her whether she has seen the charlatan and whether she has any other symptoms than the urge to drink blood. She tries to say something but stops again, and he asks her whether anyone has stopped her from telling someone about her true condition. She recalls a dark hand which increases the urge to drink blood even more and tells him that she has fulfilled his condition by not drinking anyone else's blood. She then pushes him down and bites his neck. She keeps drinking his blood without any control but suddenly stops and starts crying. She comments that her sanity is slowly slipping away and she may even one day harm Luca, so Venitas promises her that even if he cannot cure her one day, he will definitely kill her if she becomes insane. Later, Venitas and Jean wander around the town and she insists that they should get her hat and umbrella from the place where she lost control, but he warns her that the chasseurs must be storming the place. She cannot believe that she lost her things, which Dominique carefully selected out for her, and he then suggests leading her to the barrier, which confuses her. He then teases her whether she wanted to stay with him till the morning, which embarrasses her even more, and she declares that she only came to fulfill her objective of making him hate her. He keeps teasing her that it was lovely to see her feminine side for once and wonders how she was allowed to come see him. She reveals that Luca is with his brother Loki today, due to which she got the day off, and that she even got the permission to come see him. He suddenly realizes that Ruthven gave her the permission and may be planning something, so he runs back to his hotel. He rushes inside and barges inside his room only to find No still sleeping soundly. Some time ago, when Ruthven drank No's blood, he made No promise that he will obey his one command at the time of his choosing no matter what happens, and No was forced to make the promise without his will. He then snapped his fingers, which knocked No unconscious, and the spider attacker from Charlatan asked him why he didn't kill him then, so Ruthven explained to him that he firstly wants to know why Maitre is keeping him so close. He decides to use him as a pawn and hoped that he would remember his promise. In the present, No wonders how he slept for the whole day while Jean waits for Venitas where he left her off, and Ruthven comes to meet her instead. Ruthven lies to her that he came to see a case regarding a vampire uproar, and Jean admits to him that she caused the uproar but didn't harm anyone. He tells her that Eric and Louise would have loved to see her in her pretty state, and after giving her his coat, he then leads her back. In the meanwhile, Dominique and Dante continue to search for Jean and Venitas, and Dominique feels concerned for Jean, so she continues her search despite the late night. Olivier comes to meet Roland and asks him why he has been disappearing lately to do his own research. Roland bluntly tells him that he has been researching the history of humans and vampires, and that he is starting to see vampires in the new light even though he considered them pure evil before. Olivier discusses with his comrade Georges that Roland would never betray the church, and Olivier still threatens Roland that the church can deem his research dangerous if he doesn't stop, and his family can be put at danger too. Roland simply asks him how many paladins he can take down single-handedly and whether he can take him down too, which makes him realize that he is threatening him in return. He explains that he just wants to believe in something, and Olivier then starts to pick up the papers that fell off from his desk. On the other end, Dante arrives at No's flat where Venitas asks him why Dominique isn't with him, which makes him realize that Venitas knew about their stalking all along. Dante then spills tea that he has just learned that the beast of Gevaudan has reared its head, and Venitas asks him to share all the details instantly. Venitas shares with No that in the 18th century there was a beast in the area of Gevaudan who killed more than 100 women and children, and it was thought to be a curse-bearing vampire. Dante shares that 5 people have been recently killed with their entrails missing, and that there are eyewitnesses who have seen the beast as well, so Dante decides to check out the beast himself. He asks No what he plans to do, and No in return comments that he finds it very delicious. The others wonder what he is talking about, while No realizes that he cannot concentrate on the topic because of Venitas' blood smell which is emanating from his bloodied collar. He wonders why he is feeling the urge to drink blood and thinks that the reason is because he hasn't drunk any blood, which means that he is starving. He even pinches his nose shut to stop his urge and thinks that he should quickly eat some bread to stop his urge, but he keeps thinking about his blood. He recalls when Maitre told him about his powers as a kid, and Louis explained to him that he always has to coax the other person into giving their blood. He then tells Venitas that his blood has a divine smell despite his stinky attitude and rotten personality, which makes Venitas wonder whether he is insulting him or complimenting him. He then directly asks him whether he can drink his blood, and Venitas tells him bluntly that he will kill him if he ever tries to drink his blood or peer into his memories. Venitas then walks away and jumps from the window, while No thinks to himself that he only wanted his blood due to his bloodthirst. He then starts thinking whether he really just wanted his blood or wanted to learn more about his past by peeping into his memories. They both spend the whole night separately thinking about what happened, and in the morning Venitas arrives at the room only to find No all ready for the day. He also gets ready and they both head out to search for the curse bearer. No follows him around the town quietly, and finally when Venitas cannot bear it, he asks No to directly tell him what he wants to say to him. No admits that he was at fault for wanting to drink his blood and explains to him that he wanted to drink it for its taste and also to learn more about his past. Venitas asks him why he wants to learn more about his past, so No admits that he finds him curious, and Venitas asks him how he can learn about people's memories through his powers. No explains to him that he has to drink blood directly from the source to look into their memories, but he can also get an idea of people's emotions if he doesn't drink blood directly from the source. Venitas then allows him to lick his blood from his clothes the next time he is ever injured, which makes No celebrate his mini success. They both then head to the train station where they board the train which leads them to Gevaudan. No feels very sleepy because he didn't sleep a wink the last night due to Venitas' disappearance, and Venitas advises him to sleep due to their long journey ahead. He asks him whether he is going to leave him if he sleeps, and Venitas assures him that he will wake him up once they reach Gevaudan. In the meanwhile, a girl tells the Charlatan Shadow Nania that the time for vengeance has finally come at Gevaudan. That's all for today, my fellow men of culture. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe the channel for more anime recaps.